All right, I think we can see everything. So I worked on this last night and I made a big old video, but I prefer to do it this way. So let's check this out. I'm going to walk you guys through exactly how this occurred. So we got some big energy that's been moving through. A lot of people have had really old triggers from this particular lifetime beyond resurfacing, giving us a choice of sovereignty over fear. I did make a video some time back with that exact nomenclature, I guess you could say, where I used Grover's book. There's a monster at the end of the book, stuff like this. So how far have we come? How many cycles have we just broken? Because I don't know about you guys, but I did some very intense, deep soul level work, especially this past week, which it's only Wednesday. So it's crazy. And we've been cracked open. All right, let's just get started because I could talk all day about it. And we're here for the cards. We're not here for me to ramble. So this is the first card that I drew. And if you're not familiar with my readings, I do everything intuitively. I don't go by traditional meanings or book meanings so that the energy is always fresh in the moment. So the first deck that I chose to work with was the Galactic Heritage Cards by Lisa Royal Holt. Highly recommend if you do not have it. All right, and the first card I received in this reading, graduation. 6 plus 7 is 13, which is 4, if that means anything for you. And the way we're doing this today is it's building a story. It's painting a picture. The next card that came up was holographic healing. 8 plus 7 is 15, which is 6. For me, it's important to say 6, for me at this time, represents one step past change, whereas 5 is the energy of change. So it's almost like the post-action moment where the dust is settling and we can see the picture with more clarity. The next card that came out was actually this card, Natural Humility. 6 plus 9 is 15, which is also 6. So lots of movement cards. And I'm just trying to make it so that we can kind of see all of these at the same time. Then the next card that came out upside down. It was Unfinished Business, 59. So 9 plus 5 is 14, which is 5. So suggesting we're no longer in this period of change. And 8, Deep Polarity, Orion, in the past. So a cycle has been broken. So I took this as the present / future because this is the energy signature, whereas this is more the physical, tangible realm, which is always, 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 at least when we're looking at it from the propensity of time and being 3D and linear, this is always kind of settling. This is the dust settling. This is the physicality setting in. You don't have any more unfinished business and you've broken a cycle of deep polarity. And that's the whole thing. Sovereignty. Claiming sovereignty over fear is, again, what I always talk about. This, I call it the triangle of coherence. There's 3 points on a triangle. Negative polarity, positive polarity, point of coherence, where all things become one. Where red and blue mix to make purple. No one is right, no one is wrong. That type of energy. And then this is the meeting point. So this is the convergence of the energetics and the physical. So some of this stuff we might not be seeing quite yet. But this is just simply, you're free to exist. You're free to be yourself. This card is like you're floating, like you've done all of this work and now you're in a free fall. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Okay. And we'll go back a little bit to this card. So you've graduated. You've moved up to a next octave. So if you're working on different dimensions, you might check in with your higher self and see where you are dimensionally. And of course, this isn't labels or bridges. They're not meant to put one person as being better or worse than another. They're just a way to measure how far you've come. So you've graduated from something. And you can do holographic healing. So if you understand what this card means, then this card is for you. The most basic way that I could kind of talk about holographic healing would be changing your verbiage, and you probably already have if this card resonates for you. So I'm not sick, I'm healing. I'm not sick, I'm getting better every day. Something like this, and then you realize that you are perfect and whole exactly as you are, and the only reason why any kind of a physical ailment, for example, would be presenting is so that you could close that loop. So you picture yourself perfect and whole and balanced in every way, and that is your holographic healing. So, and then of course, you don't have any more unfinished business, and you've closed this cycle, because again, for me, 8 is representing a cycle, a karmic closure. You've finished that cycle, and now you're simply free to exist. And just breathe, just be present, let things come to you. And then I said, okay, I want a little more, please. And so then the next card I drew was this. When I see 7, I think of divine truth and, of course, balance. So things are balanced. Where you were giving too much effort and it wasn't being reciprocated, it's now balanced. Any cycles of you not respecting your own boundaries and your own sovereignty, that is now balanced. In fact, people who perhaps used to be able to reach you in your imbalances will no longer be able to reach you. Like they'll send a text message to you and it just won't work. And you didn't block them. It's just not working. Something to this effect. You don't have to worry about it. And we're going to keep on going on from this. The next card that I drew was actually this card. So the 6th house, sustainability, upside down, 44. Again, this is an 8. So this is representing this unfinished business, this closed cycle that's come to completion, right? Where you were divided in nature, you were living in polarity. It wasn't sustainable, so anything that wasn't sustainable has come to an end. And of course, actually I'll get back to that as we go deeper into the reading. And then the next card that I drew was super fun. And it's the number 1. 4 plus 6 is 10, which is 1. And I think if this is the fool's journey, baby, you're starting something new and it's exciting and it's an adventure. And some people see mystery as ominous. If you do, you're still in polarity. If you don't, you realize this is the field of all possibilities. Everything's possible. This is exciting. And of course, the 8th house could be referring to this, but I feel you're not even entering a new cycle, because cycle suggests that it's going to repeat, kind of like the precession of the equinoxes, the seasons, things like that. You're all change and brand new, baby. And what's coming for you is something you've never experienced before, and it's leaving me tingling in my whole body. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be as good as, if not better, than every single thing you've ever pictured for yourself in the past. Every single want, desire, of course, the ones that are coming from your truth and purity, right? They're coming. And then I was like, can I get some more clarity on this? And then this smartass came up and said, yeah, it's a new day. And of course, this is an 11. And this could also be seen as a 2. So it could be seen as a new partnership, a new job. I feel strongly that this card doesn't necessarily suggest that. It could, however, be, how do I explain this? It would be like moving into a brand new house without leaving your home that you live in, because you've just renovated it. And I don't mean necessarily painting the walls and getting new furniture, although that could be part of it, but I mean like you have shed every single piece of worry, regret, fret, shame, anything that was limiting you from completely being enamored with yourself is gone. It's a new day. And I do feel like the number 11 for this card makes more sense than the number 2. But again, it's whatever resonates for you. Then I asked for, I actually went back over here. Because, okay, this is what happened. When I ask for clarity, I often ask Thoth, because Thoth, I love this deck. It always doesn't sugarcoat things. So in asking for clarity, and believe me, these cards came out and they required a little bit of discernment, right? Because again, they're telling a story. So over here we have the energy, reality, the now and the future, and the quantum. Here we have the connector, bridge, And this is the past. This is the physical. This is what's been shed. This is what's over. Okay. So then when I asked Toth for more information on this, and in fact, I think I might have jumped ahead because, and actually it doesn't matter because whatever, time's not relevant. So just, if you can follow me here, it'll all make sense, I promise. So 6th house, sustainability, something wasn't sustainable, so you broke that cycle. And then I wanted a little bit more clarity on this, and I actually do think that I was asking for clarity on this, but we got the Knight of Wands that came out upside down. And it was just about you doing things, because this is Virgo energy, right? The 6th house. Because house 1, and I'm going with traditional because of the archetypal energy, tropical astrology. So 1st house, Aries, 2nd house, Taurus, 3rd house, Gemini, 4th house, Cancer, 5th house, Leo, 6th house, Virgo. So this is like your health and well-being. This is your pets. This is your routines. This is your sustainability. This is your plant-based medicine. This is your cleaning. Okay, so you've cleaned every nook. I just got energetic confirmation on that. You've cleaned every nook and cranny in your house. You've done so much work. It's upside down because there's no more work. You're done. There's no more work to be done in the physical. And you've also ended some cycle of codependence, because I'm seeing this, the upside down lust card, which Toth calls it the 11 of trumps. So if you know traditional tarot, you're welcome to take that meaning as well. But to me, this is coming over as you've completed a cycle of codependency. So maybe you thought that you had to do something in the physical to, for example, earn money. I'm telling you, with all honesty and sincerity from my heart, you do not have to earn your keep by doing things. But what you do have to do is you have to be honest with yourself about who you are. And maybe you are one of these people that has a very earthy, fiery energy, where that is where you feel the most solid and whole in yourself, is when you're doing things physically and when you have tangible physical goals as a result of your actions. But not all of us are like that. A lot of us are very emotional and airy. So that would be emotional, water, airy thoughts. A lot of us are dwelling more in the mind and in the energetics of it. So it just really, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever is for you. But no matter what, this cycle has been broken. There's nothing more you're to do with it. You've broken this cycle of codependency, whether within yourself. Well, obviously it's always within yourself, and then it ripples outward and shows you what you need to see outside of you as the way other people may treat you, if that makes sense. And then I did ask for more clarity on this as well. And I used my, I love this deck. I don't use it very much, or I haven't in the past. And I like using it more because it's very concise. It's the Botanic Whispers deck. So it's all essential oils. So plants. So rosemary. And it has on the top line the light side, and on the bottom the shadow side. Or, you know, the completed wholeness frame of mind and the lack mentality. So rosemary in her light octaves is remembering purity or virginity and the mind, right? Purity of mind. Because we could talk about the mind all day long. I did a reading yesterday that I decided not to save, but there was a card that came up about, you know, nothing comes into your awareness without your having asked for it by your thoughts. I feel like that's a little bit limited. I have a broader stance on that, but I do appreciate Abraham Hicks for that. But, you know, your mind is your own. And once you get to that place of complete stillness within yourself and you trust yourself completely, you can tell when there's weeds. You can tell when someone's introducing their thoughts to you, which in fact, it won't even happen anymore once you're so secure within yourself. And we'll get into a little bit of more of that in a minute with some of the other cards over here. But so theft, forgetting, nightmares would be the shadow side, or the unhealed, or the wounded. And then the mantra or the quote says, "It is safe for me to remember even the most painful of memories, for there is knowledge to be gained from looking at the past." So this all to me means that there was something that was so deeply ingrained in you, and it was so painful that you hid it away and you didn't want to deal with it. And it came up. It came up and it gutted you and it cracked you wide open. But you didn't go into victim mode. You stayed sovereign. Yeah, you got upset. Maybe you had a couple breakdowns. maybe, you know, I'm not going to say it's completely going into victim, but maybe there was a little bit of it, right? But you didn't stay there. You didn't say, poor me, why is this happening to me? I just want this to be over. I can't believe this is happening to me. You didn't do that. You realized life is working for you and through you and with you. And the reason why this challenge from the past came up was so you could say, look how far I've come. I'm not that same person that I was when this happened last time. And I'm closing this loop, this deep cycle of trauma, of regret, of sorrow, of grief. Okay, now we're going over here. So we have this 8th house mystery, this new adventure. And I said, well, what is it? And Spirit said, it's a new day. And I said, you punk. And then I said, give me more. And they gave me the upside down black egg. Now, what do you guys think? To me, when I think of a black egg, I think of a dragon egg. And what do you think when you think about a dragon egg? Do you think that it can withstand a lot? Yeah, I would say so. So I'm saying in this particular reading, this is representing your hypervigilance, your need for protection. You do not need to be protected anymore because you are protected. You don't need to ask for protection because you don't have any leaks. You don't have any tears. You found all the places and spaces where your energy has been siphoned from you. And the reason why it was happening is just because there was a really old cycle that was so profound that the only way that you could really get to the root of it was to go back into it again. A lot of people, and this is just a very light analogy, and I feel like it's for somebody out there, a lot of people have all of their different views on Teal Swan. But one thing that she has done that I remembered when I used to really follow her kind of a lot in the beginning of everything was, you know, I'm not going to talk about anything specific necessarily, but she will walk people, or even think of the show Nine Perfect Strangers, which the second season had more than 9, but that's not the point. The point is Nicole Kidman plays this character named Masha. She uses plant medicine, psilocybin, to take people back to their core trauma wounds. And Teal Swan had talked about stuff like this as well, embodying the emotion, because the mind always remembers these traumas. And when something comes up and it looks familiar, there's a really good chance, if you're not completely in control of all of your faculties, that your mind can represent pretty much like a hologram of that trauma within your body. So kind of going back, but Teal Swan would take people on these journeys where they would go back into these places and spaces in themselves. But again, we're talking about the lighter side of all of this, because this trauma was so great and so deep that you couldn't have done it before now because you weren't strong enough, but you've been working very hard in the unseen realms. So this black egg upside down comes to say, you don't have to protect yourself anymore. Protection for you now looks like wearing a raincoat, brushing your teeth, due diligence. You get to this space with your energy where you know yourself so well that anything that's trying to invade, first of all, won't even be able to perceive you because you've embodied your whole self. You've entrained all of the energy around you to reflect back to you honestly. So you'll know when anything even tries to squeak in, but even more than that, it won't be able to because you have this brand new system of energy, the way your nature, your blueprint, you're more, how do I say it? You're more resonating with your original blueprint, with who you really deeply, truly are. I don't feel like I'm explaining it this great, but you don't need to ask for protection. Simply the act of protection, which I feel like I heard this from Esther Abraham Hicks a while back, and I always vibed with it, but I didn't feel it until now, until, this unfinished business was purged. Because as long as something's resonating within you, you will always have an energy leak. And I don't mean that in like some scary kind of way, but you don't even need protection then, because you're stepping into your sovereignty over and over and over and over again. You're standing up for yourself, to yourself. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say on that. Because a lot of times when we hear protection, or like I had a reading earlier, I think it was last week, and it was this card that said pierced shield. And for the love of God, do you know how much that scares some people? We're not in duality anymore. We're in sovereignty. You can't be afraid of yourself if you've already gone through all the depths of yourself and you understand and know yourself completely. And really, that's the only thing that could ever hurt you, would be an outside machination of yourself that was made from within. Okay, I'm going to move on. So then I said, can I get some more clarity on my adventure, please? Because I'm looking forward to this. And smartasses gave me this. I went to my love deck because I was like, none of this other stuff is really telling me anything I want to hear. It's telling me we're ending codependency. It's telling me I don't need to take action because all the action's done. It's telling me, good job, girlfriend, because, you know, you went in and you held that torch high in that tomb where you couldn't see anything. And then I got upside down Molly Grew. These two both fell out. This guy's really exciting to me, but we're going to go with upside down Molly Grew first. Page of Coins. Now when I see this card, I see a martyr. I see like people trying to love you, people trying to shower you with gifts, people giving you their money and you saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. You're not doing that anymore. And it wasn't even yours. It's part of this cycle that's completed. But it does come over to this side because it does have to do with the physicality and abundance and the energy of money, the actual true intrinsic frequency and energy of money, which is completely misconstrued and misunderstood, but you're beginning to understand it. You're beginning to understand it, that you had it the whole time. You just were preventing yourself from having access to it because you didn't feel worthy. Or you knew that you had to do some more work. And now the work is done. And this gets us to our last and most juicy card, the Queen of Coins. I want you to look at her and I want you to tell me, what do you see? And I'm going to leave you with this, and then I'm going to let you muse on the rest. You are going to receive, and you are going to sit there, and you are going to act like it's normal, because it is. You're not going to act like Molly Grew and say, how dare you come to me now, when she first meets the unicorn. Instead of being excited that the unicorn's in her presence, she shames the unicorn for waiting until she's an old maiden. But she had the answer the whole time. She was the one keeping herself from it. Now you are the unicorn. You are the Lady Amalthea. And this card, to me, brings this Taurian energy of the physical, tangible, new plush velvet couches, linen robes, delicious food, travel on water, new sights, new people. But really, it's about you coming into fully you. Look at her. Her tail is in the water. She's allowing the flow of all that is meant for her to simply come to her because she is who she is. She's not doing anything. She's receiving. And again, I have full body tingles. This has been one of the best card readings I feel like I've ever done. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.